Hi, my name is Sandy with Yoga for Grief Support. In all my years of teaching yoga for grief support, I've noticed that sometimes the cues in yoga to focus on the breath create an unsettling or upsetting result in the people who are trying yoga as a tool to support their grief. When a person experiences a trauma or a shock or intense stress, the whole body can kind of clench. Your breathing muscles are included in that. Over time, with prolonged stress or ongoing emotional turmoil, those really clenched and tight muscles don't ever relax, and they become weak over time, which makes breathing physically difficult, but it also makes it really emotionally and mentally challenging as well. When we're talking about a death loss, sometimes the association with dying being the cessation of breathing can be especially challenging for people who are participating in yoga after a death. I know in my own experience when I first started meditation and yoga, the focus on breath just reminded me of the person in my life who died who was no longer breathing. So this is a very understandable and real part of participating in yoga after a loss. If this sounds like something that you've experienced, understand that deep breathing in yoga is not the starting place for you. Eventually, the cues to take some deep breaths in a yoga class will be possible, but for now, deep breathing is not the starting place. In this class, the focus is going to be on noticing other sensations in the body, not the breath. There will be no cues around breathing, but with the gentle movements and the mindful awareness, you'll still obtain the benefits of a yoga practice. As you do the hard work of mourning and integrating your loss into your life, it'll be easier for you to take a deep breath. But one of the main teachings of yoga is to be with yourself where you are right now. And focusing on the breath creates more internal strife than benefit. Then it's okay to take a step back from that and just do some other aspects of a yoga practice. As you integrate your loss, it will come together and you will find that breathing becomes easier. So you can lay your yoga mat down on the floor, and if you have a large blanket to cover your yoga mat with, you can do that as well. Some of the movements we'll be doing early on in the practice involve sliding your legs around, so having something softer over top of your sticky mat can help that go a little bit easier. I invite you to begin in Shavasana, so you can lay down on your back. Take a moment to just make sure you're comfortable, that your legs are straight on the floor and a little bit wider than your hips. Your arms are in an A-frame position beside your body. You can rotate your hands to face the ceiling. Ensure your lower back feels long so you can kind of tuck your tailbone towards your heels. And if that doesn't do it for you, you can bend your knees. I like to take the feet a little bit wider than my hips and just let the knees knock together so that leg muscles don't have to work too hard to keep your legs upright. We want to start our yoga class today with a sense of ease and relaxation. Shavasana is usually done at the end of the class. But Shavasana is a pose that is more than a pose. It's a way of being. So if we can bring an element of relaxation into our yoga class right from the start, it sets the tone. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Softly close your eyes so that your upper lids rest gently on your lower lids. As you're laying here in Shavasana, bring your attention to any sound that you can hear that's far away. Maybe you can hear the dull roar of traffic, or a bird chirping outside your window. What sounds do you notice that are far away? Can you find 3 different sounds? And now listen for a few sounds that are closer to you. Maybe in the room that you're in, whether it's the furnace kicking on, the sound of your computer fan. What sounds are closer to you? And then pick one of those sounds that's most obvious to you. What sound does your mind or ears hear most obviously? And then imagine your ears are like microphones. So simply by being attached to your head, they pick up the sounds around you with no added effort from you. Whatever sound or sounds you've identified naturally enter your ears and enter your awareness. Now here comes the tricky part. See if you can let those sounds be purely a sensory experience. So you're not making up a story around the sound. You're simply noticing the sound in its purest form. Let's imagine, just as an example, the sound that you're hearing is a bird. There's a difference between just hearing the sound of the bird and hearing or mentally thinking, I wonder, what kind of bird is that? I wonder if it's building a nest in my eaves troughs. I wonder if I put out a bird feeder for it or a bird bath. It's so easy for the mind to latch on to a sound and run away with it. The practice here in Shavasana, being mindful of the sounds around you, is to let the sound come into your ears as though they're microphones, and then let that sound go or change, however that sound is in its purest form. And then let that experience of sound just drift to the background of your awareness. And bring your attention to the very tips of your toes. Maybe you wiggle them. And then notice the very tips of your fingers and wiggle them. And you can touch your thumb onto the finger pads and just notice how your fingers feel. And then bring your fingers and your toes back to still. And just use your mind's eye to sense the outline of your body. So you felt your toes. Can you feel your legs? Sense them on the floor. Feel where your legs attach to your hips, the length of your torso and rib cage, the width of your shoulders and where they turn into your upper arms. And then notice the outline of both arms as it goes down to your fingertips. And as you're noticing your fingertips, can you also notice the spaces between your fingertips? And then noticing the length of your neck, the space behind your neck, and the curvature of your head as it rests on the floor. And then get a sense of your whole body all at once. Its weight, its density, its subtle movements, whether it's a muscle that's twitching or the gurgling of your stomach. Even the subtle senses on your skin, the coolness of the air on your toes, the touch of your clothing. And what else do you feel as you notice your body as it lays on the mat today? From here, we're going to add a couple of really gentle stretches. What you'll do is you'll reach through your left toes towards the wall opposite you, as though there's a little elf at your feet pulling on your leg. And then you relax the left leg, same thing on the right. Reach through your toes, extend and reach as far as you can. Back to the left. You'll go side to side, reaching through your toes, lengthening right from your hip, maybe even lengthening right from your waist, rocking side to side. And as you do this movement, you'll notice that your hips are sliding too. If you place your hands on the front of your hips where you can feel the bones at the front of your pelvis, just notice how as you reach each leg away from you, one hip kind of glides down as the other glides up. And then as you switch, one hip glides down as the other glides up. You can go at your own pace here, reaching through the legs. And I invite you to really notice, where in your body do you feel the muscles stretching? And what does that feel like? And where in your body do you feel the muscles contracting? And what does that feel like? Rocking side to side and reaching. And then let's bring the legs back to still. There's no rush. We'll meet in Shavasana, which I also sometimes call Starfish Pose, as you rest between poses, just like a starfish would. Wide arms, wide legs. And just like a starfish, you could imagine your body sinking into the sand, just enough that it envelops you in a comforting way. And with your legs now still, we're going to do the same thing with the arms. So your arms are currently in an A-frame position beside your body. You're going to reach your left fingertips towards the bottom left corner of your blanket, reaching through that arm, and elbow and wrist and fingers. And then as you relax that arm, you can stretch the right arm, reaching the right arm on a 45-degree angle down towards the right bottom corner of your blanket. And you can go back and forth like this, left arm to right arm. And as you're doing these reaches through the arms, I just invite you again to notice, where do you feel this in your body? What muscles feel like they're getting a tug? What does your skin feel like sliding on that blanket? What else do you notice? Can you feel how the arm that you're reaching gently pulls your head over to that side? That's okay. Allow that to happen. Allow the head to go with the arm. Bringing the sensation up into your neck and just paying attention to this as a physical experience. You can continue with this motion with your arms, but we're going to do something different with the head. Instead of letting your head go with the arm that's reaching, turn your head the opposite way. And then let everything come back to center. Reach with the opposite arm. Notice the tendency of the head to go with that arm, and then turn your head the other way. And release back to center. Switching sides. You can speed this up so that it's almost as quick as when you were just gliding your arms on the floor. So let's say your left arm is reaching, your head turns to the right. And as your right arm reaches, your head turns to the left. Now, there's no real right or wrong way to do this movement. Just explore what it feels like in your own body. Every body is different. Everybody holds tension in different areas. It doesn't matter how far you're turning your head. It doesn't matter how far you're reaching your arm. Let's do one more on each side. Good, and come back to Shavasana, Starfish Pose. Let your body rest. All those muscles that were working now have nothing to do. Let them relax. From Shavasana, I invite you to bend your knees, stand your feet on the floor. Your feet can be about hip distance apart. And we're going to begin some spinal undulations. So you can arch your lower back off the floor so there's a little bit more of a space between your lower back and the floor. Notice how the front of your body lengthens and your chin slightly tucks towards your chest. And then reverse that. So your lower back is now pressing down into the floor. Your tailbone curls up, although you don't lift your hips. And then reversing that. Lower back arches, the front of the body opens. And then pressing the lower back into the floor, feel the front of your body contract. And you can just continue with this motion, undulating the spine between a lower back pressing into the floor and then the lower back lifting. And I invite you to go at your own pace. And as you're doing this motion, just notice, where do you feel the movement translating or moving up your body? So although the cue is to focus on your lower back, what do you notice in your shoulders? What do you notice in your head? Now come back to center. You can make any micro adjustments you need to so you feel like you're resting comfortably on the floor. And we're going to change this up a little bit. So I'll get you to interlace your hands behind your head. And press your elbows into the floor, broadening across the chest. And now, imagining your hands are like a basket and your head is like an egg, you're going to round your elbows beside your ears, creating a little bit of a lift with the head as you press your lower back to the floor, tuck your chin, and curl up ever so slightly. And then lowering the head back down. Open the elbows, press them into the floor, arch your lower back off the mat just like we did before. And then as you go to press your lower back, feel the front of your body contracting. Wrap your elbows around your ears as you tuck your chin to your chest and lift your head. And then reversing that, lifting the lower back, pressing the elbows down. And cradling the head, rounding the lower back. Continue with this motion. Noticing, just as we did before, where do you feel this movement in your body? Can you bring your awareness to the tip of your tailbone? And involve the pelvis a little bit more. And then once you feel like you've got the whole spine on board with this motion, you can let your attention rest on the simple rocking motion. The rocking of your hips, the rocking of your torso, the rocking of your head and neck. Finishing off your last one or two, and we'll meet together in Starfish Pose. Wide arms, wide legs, allowing yourself to sink and settle, and just sensing your body. A bit later on in this class, we're going to be doing tree pose, a balancing pose. In order to warm up the hips for that, we're going to do a movement that I call marionettes, as though you're a puppet on a string. So the goal is to keep your legs really relaxed and really soft. Now let's start with your left leg, let's say. Rotate that leg so your pinky toe is closer to the floor, and then draw your heel up as your knee bends, bringing your heel in towards your left inner thigh. And once it's there, you can pause for just a moment and then straighten that leg back out. And we'll switch sides, turning your right leg outward a little bit more, bending your knee, sliding your heel up towards your left inner thigh. And then re-straightening that leg. Switching sides, left leg, sliding it up, bending the knee. It doesn't matter how high that foot comes. I invite you to simply notice the heaviness of your limb, the sensation of your foot gliding on the floor. I also invite you to notice the rocking of your pelvis as you move from side to side. One more time on each side. And then resting just for a few moments in Shavasana. Bending your knees, standing your feet on the floor. Rolling over onto your side. I'm going to my left. You can roll onto whichever side if you wish. Straightening your bottom arm out along the floor, your top arm stacks on top of it. If you feel like your head is at a precarious angle, don't hesitate to use a pillow. Now with your top arm, you're going to walk your fingertips along the floor and overhead. As your arm comes above your head, you can rotate it behind you, opening your chest up towards the ceiling and circling it around your hip back to the start. So you've done one full 360-degree turn here. We're going to do 5 on this side, going this direction. Now I'm running into the couch here. If you have enough room at your place to give yourself more room, you can keep your arms straight. That increases the opening through the chest and shoulder. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow, I don't think my shoulder can take it, you can bend your elbow, and then as you do these circles, your arm won't be as long and therefore won't be as heavy, and it makes it a little bit easier. That should be about 5. So we'll pause just for a moment in the center. And then I'll get you to reverse the direction of your circle. So you're going down by your hip, circling up behind you, coming into a spinal twist, overhead, and back to the start. 5 going this direction. And coming back to the start, we're going to roll over onto the other side. So the opposite arm is on top. Starting just how we did before, arms extending out from your shoulders, supported on the floor. And then taking your top arm overhead first as you open up into your twist. Letting the chest roll to the ceiling as you circle that arm behind you, across your hip, and back to the start. We'll do 5 going this direction. And that should be about 5. From the starting position, dropping your hand down by your hip, opening up into a twist, circling it above your head, and back to the start. 5 times. And when you're done your 5 circles, you can come back onto your back. Starfish pose. And just taking a moment to let your limbs rest heavy on the floor. You can bend your knees again, roll onto one side, And we're going to press onto our hands and knees, but before you go and press up, see if you can keep your head heavy. So you can use your arms, keep your head nice and heavy and relaxed. Coming on to your hands and knees. So one common movement that we do from our hands and knees is the spinal undulations that we did when we were on the floor. Similar motion. Now, obviously, you're on your hands and knees, not on your back. But we're going to arch the back so your belly drops down towards the floor. Your lower back becomes more curved. You can lift your head, lift your chin, stretch through the throat. And then reverse that, round your back like an angry cat, tuck your tailbone, round your shoulders, press through your hands. And then reversing, lifting the tailbone, arching the lower back, lifting the chin. And one more angry cat pose. And then come back to table position, flat back. You can keep your gaze down on the floor, just between your hands. We're going to do some shoulder circles here. So you'll shrug your shoulders up towards your ears, lift them towards the ceiling, drop them back, and then press them towards the floor. So shoulders come up towards your ears, they come up to the ceiling. Another way to think of that is you're dropping your chest towards the floor, glide your shoulder blades down your back, and then lift your chest away from the floor. Shoulders up, shoulders down and back. Coming back into table position, bringing your gaze between your hands. You can bring your big toes together, widen your knees just a little bit. Sit back onto your heels so that your pelvis is down. From here, maybe you walk your hands in a little bit more, but we're going to do the same cat and cow, rounding your back like an angry cat, and then arching your back, lifting your head, opening up the front of the neck, and then rounding like an angry cat. And lifting. So you might notice that you don't move as far here. It doesn't matter. Quality and awareness over how it looks. How does it feel in your body? If we bring our awareness back to the sounds that we're hearing, just like we did before, lifting yourself back onto your hands and knees, table position. From here, we're going to come to standing, and you might want to move your blanket off your mat so you can grab it and begin to fold it up as you make your way onto your feet. All right, so here you are on your feet. Your feet can be hip distance apart. Arms relaxed and by your sides. So this is mountain pose. Now, mountain pose isn't just standing. It's standing while embodying the qualities of the mountain. So one of those qualities is sturdiness and strength. So I'll get you to bring your attention to your feet and spread your toes and balance the weight of your body equally on the forefoot and the rear foot. So you can kind of shift your weight forward and shift it back and find that place where your weight is balanced in the center. And then with your legs, just notice if you're one of those people that hyperextends and locks your knees. I know I am. So I'm going to remind myself, and if this is you, a knee locker, soften the knees, maybe just even 5 degrees. Enough that you slightly bend them and you feel your thigh muscles now turn on. That's good. We want our leg muscles to support us. Lift up through the waist, Lift up through the rib cage. Imagine your shoulder blades are tucking into your back pockets. And then using your own internal map of your body, try to align your earlobes over top of your shoulders. And just take a few moments here. At the start of our class, when you were in Shavasana, I had you notice the outline of your body, the position of your legs, arms, torso, and head. And do that here too. If you find there's a part of your body that doesn't really feel vivid in your mind, you can tap it or rub it so that you get a sense of your container, your boundaries, your physical self. Where you begin and end. And then coming back to mountain pose, noticing the outline and form of your body. Now my eyes are closed because it helps me be less distracted, but I'm going to get you to open your eyes. Find a spot to stare at on the floor so that your gaze is fixed and stable. We're going to move into tree pose. So for tree pose, you can take your left leg, lift it up off the floor, turn your heel so that it's pressing into your inner ankle. This is level 1. This is the position to take if you need a little bit more support from a balance perspective. Position number 2, lifting your foot onto your calf below the knee joint. And if that feels comfy for you, you can lift your foot up to your inner thigh. So it doesn't matter which position you take in tree pose. Press your foot into your thigh and your thigh back into your foot. Bring your hands into prayer position in front of your body. Still your gaze. Release the grip of the floor with your standing toes. And see if you can find an element of ease, even though that standing leg may be shaking, vibrating, kind of jumping around. Find ease here. What can you relax? Let's release the hands and release the leg. Taking a moment in mountain pose. I like to close my eyes. If you want to keep your eyes open, which is a perfectly reasonable strategy, I invite you to still your gaze. Find a spot to just fix your gaze on. And then we'll switch sides. Bringing the opposite heel into your inner ankle, shin, or inner thigh. The only rule is that that foot should not be right on the knee joint, so either above or below the knee joint. Bringing your hands into prayer position. And relaxing what you can. Fix your gaze. Allow your eyes and your mind to be steady. Releasing your hands and releasing that leg. Taking a moment in mountain pose, allowing everything to settle. Take this time to find your sturdiness through the pillars of your legs, the heaviness of your body, the sturdiness of mountain pose. From here, we're going to take a wider stance. You can separate your feet. We're going to take the left leg. You can turn your toes towards the short end of your mat. And then we're going to bend into the left leg. Now, as I'm bending, I'm looking down at my foot. I can see that my knee is going well past my ankle. So I'm just gonna walk my feet a little bit wider apart. With the back foot, you can turn your toes in slightly. So notice the temptation to turn your hips towards the short end of your mat. Although your knee is going that way, you want your hips to turn the opposite way. So you're broadening and opening across the pelvis, lowering down into your front leg. And I like to straighten and bend a few times. As you do that, notice, are you leaning your torso forward? See if you can keep your hips stacked over top of your shoulders stacked over top of your hips. And then we'll hold the lunge, lifting your arms up to a T. This is Warrior Two position. You can turn your gaze, turn your head, and look over your hand, finding a spot to fix your eyes on. Notice the strength of your legs, the firmness of your feet planted into the floor, and the firing up of the muscles. Combined with that, notice the lightness of your body, standing up nice and tall, as though you're a sunflower growing out of the garden. Good, and then you can release your arms, straighten your legs. Turn your feet to face forward, and then we'll switch sides. Right toes pointing towards the short end of your mat, left foot turning in slightly, and then we're gonna lunge into the forward leg. And then when you're in a lunged position, you can hold, bringing your arms up to a T and looking over your front hand. Shoulders line up over top of your hips. As your legs start to burn, think about depending on that strength in your legs. It almost takes more energy to try and convince yourself to get out of the pose, so just stay with it. As your legs feel like they're becoming stronger or burning more, see if you can find a sense of lightness through your upper body, as though your shoulders were made of helium balloons. Releasing the hands, straightening the legs. Turning your feet to face forward, and then just heel, toe, your feet together. I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see me. You can stay looking forward. You're simply gonna widen your feet as wide as the mat, bend your knees, and come forward, holding onto opposite elbows, coming into a forward bend. I've got the luxury of having a sofa behind me, so you could use the support of the sofa or a chair for your forward bend, keeping the knees soft, allowing the backs of the legs to open, the muscles across the back of the pelvis to open, and the lower back. And slowly coming up to standing. We're going to make our way back down onto the floor, so I'll meet you there. As you make your way onto the floor, you can leave your knees bent, feet standing on the floor, and just let your body re-acclimatize to being supine. Relaxing your shoulders. And once you're down on the floor, you can have your knees bent, your feet standing on the floor. We're going to reach the arms up towards the ceiling, your palms facing each other as though you're holding a beach ball. Then from here, you're going to cross your arms across your body, giving yourself a big bear hug. I like to bring my hands onto the tops of my shoulders and remind them to move down away from my ears. This position opens up the space in between the shoulder blades, so you can gently rock side to side, just massaging that area across the back of your body, simultaneously lengthening the back of your neck, creating more space through the back of your body. Noticing which elbow is on top. You can reach your arms back up to the ceiling and switch directions. So the opposite elbow is on top, giving yourself a big bear hug, reminding your shoulders to move down away from your ears, and massaging that muscle in between your shoulder blades. And then you can release your arms back to the A-frame position on the floor. Release your legs. If you have your blanket handy, now would be a good time to pull it over top of your body if you want a little bit more warmth. We're moving into the Shavasana for the final few minutes of class. It's of the utmost importance that your body is comfortable. If laying flat like this is uncomfortable for you, feel free to choose another position. Some people choose to lay on their side. You are welcome to bend your knees and knock them together if that's comfortable for you, just so the leg muscles can release. Another option, if you have a chair nearby, or like I have this couch here, I could bring my shins onto the couch, which is a really nice way to support the lower back. The point being, find a position for Shavasana that you are comfortable in, a position where your body can relax. And I'll guide you through a relaxation meditation. All you have to do is listen to the sound of my voice, and I'll direct your attention to various parts of your body. You'll hear a ding. You'll hear the sound of a bell when Shavasana is over, and I will guide you out. You can bring your attention to your right big toe, right second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. The top of your right foot, the sole of your right foot, your right ankle, right calf, right knee, right thigh, and right hip. Left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. The top of your left foot, the sole of your left foot, your left heel, ankle, calf, knee, thigh, and hip. All 10 toes together. Both feet, both legs, and the entire circumference of your hips and pelvis. Your waist, your lower back, your rib cage, your right shoulder blade, right collarbone, right shoulder, right upper arm, elbow, right forearm, right wrist, the palm of your right hand, the back of your right hand, your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, your left shoulder blade, left collarbone, left shoulder, left upper arm, left elbow, left forearm, left wrist, the palm of your left hand, the back of your left hand, your left thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky fingers. Both hands together. Both hands together. Both forearms. Both shoulders. The entire circumference of your neck. Your chin. The skin beneath your nose. Your chin. The skin beneath your nose. The tip of your nose. Your temples. Your earlobes. The tops of your ears. Your eyelids. The space between your eyes, your forehead, and the very top of your head. And then allow your attention to settle in your fingertips and noticing any sensation that may be present. Can allow that sensation to draw up your arms, into your torso, all the way down to your toes and up to the top of your head, spreading relaxation throughout your whole body. And giving yourself a few minutes to rest completely in this sense of ease. upon hearing the bell. You can bring your awareness back to your physical body. Just taking a moment to notice any sensations that are present for you right now, including how your muscles feel, how your joints feel. And then bringing your attention to any sounds, just like we did at the start of class, sounds in the room. You could even imagine yourself within the four walls of your room. Knowing the physical boundaries and space that is being occupied by your body. In relation to the world outside you. And then you can bring some gentle movement into your toes, wiggling them and wiggling your fingers. You could roll your head from side to side. If you're called to stretch your body, please feel free to do that. Whatever would feel nurturing for you in this moment. Now, something that often happens at the end of yoga class is people hurry out of Shavasana to get on with their day. And I believe one of the beautiful things about Shavasana as a practice at the end of class is the symbolism of starting again. Having done your practice and taken the time at the end to integrate and relax, now we wake up the body. We're preparing to move back out into the world. And we want to take elements of our yoga practice with us. So with that in mind, you can bend your knees, moving slowly. There's no rush. And you can roll over onto one side. Pausing there for a moment. And then when you move to sitting, keep your head heavy and relaxed. It can be the last thing to rise. Use your hands to help press yourself up to sitting. And once you're in sitting, you can close your eyes, allow your body to recalibrate to being upright. Taking your hands together in front of your chest in a gesture of sealing in your yoga practice. You have everything you need within you in order to find these moments of calm sensations within your body. You can bow your head, thanking yourself for taking the time for your yoga practice today. And thank you for joining me.